All right, so we're live. I want to say ETM Hotep, which means welcome and peace, and welcome to the Sesh mdw-ntr YouTube channel. This is your brother Wujau mdw-ntr, and I'm here with other members of the Sesh, and we could briefly go around and introduce. Everyone can introduce themselves, let everyone know who's in the building, and then we'll continue our open discussion. All right, so 1 second. 1 second. I'm not sure if that's my audio, but just in case, I'm going to reset. And for those who are watching now, again, I want to welcome you all. Appreciate you all tuned in. But let us know. Let me know if you can hear me fine. In the meantime, while I'm talking, I'm going to reset the audio because everyone sounded choppy to me. I just want to make sure everything is good. All right. So let me reset. And I know there's a delay. So just let me know if someone can do me that service in the chat. Let me know that I could be heard. And we'll get everything started. And I apologize for the little technical issue. But while I'm resetting, what we're having, what we're gonna have is an open discussion. We normally on Fridays, in the past we've had our Freestyle Fridays. We've done so many of those that, on a Friday, we just have an open discussion. We can talk about pretty much anything. And so it's styled AMA, Ask Me Anything, but it's really Ask Us Anything. And so we're just going to have this open discussion, and we look forward to any questions that are in the chat. Any comments or questions in the chat you would like for us to address, we'll make sure we keep our eyes out. Playing. Okay, so now I get it. So now we're back in business. So maybe everyone on the panel can introduce yourselves real quick. Can y'all hear me?
I was thinking June should just go first because he was kind of body.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. While I can. All right. ETM Hotel. Welcome in peace, everybody. It's your brother June out here in sunny Seattle. I want to say thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show and leave with satisfaction. Hotel.
Come to think about it, it may not even have been the issue. I forgot June is traveling, so it may have just been his audio. But we're good. So who's next?
It is clear now. Hotep, Ren-E, Yimiket. My name is Yimiket, and just like to welcome you all to the show.
All right, next. I'm a name Silence. I'm gonna give Silence a name, so that this gap of silence, so I'll feel a little more comfortable, because that gap of silence, boy, I swear, it gets to me every time, But yeah, go ahead.
ETM Hotel, Rennie Sean, welcome in peace. My name is Sean. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. Don't forget to like the show and share the show to your page.
Hotep, excuse me, Hotep. It's your brother Satep and Ra, Larry Ahmed. Hope y'all enjoy the show. Come in peace and leave in peace.
All right, and other members may join in. And so again, I want to say ETM Hotep and Dua for tuning in, and I'll share the link for those who you feel that are maybe interested in our types of discussions. And for those of you who are used to our channel, who've been tuned in, you'll know that every time we go live, we always do our best to make these teaching moments. And so when we say ETM Hotep, we welcome people in peace, and we hope that you are satisfied, but that's just a hope. And so while you're in our company, and for the duration that you are with us, we do our best to try to educate, try to teach, and inform, share information, and so on and so forth. So by the time that we leave you, or that you leave us, and we say Shem Imhotep, we want to make sure that you leave satisfied. So Hotep is an offering. All right, it's an offering of food, but this, figuratively, we want to make sure that you have a takeaway, so that you have taken something from our discussion. And so we really mean that, and that's our goal of every time that we go live. We have fun at the same time. We can crack jokes and everything. All of that stuff is good as well, because we don't want to be dry and robotic and whatnot. But at the same time, that's our goal. Our goal is to really try to share, teach, inform, and that people can walk away with a to-go box. All right, a to-go box of information. Either you're gonna go look up something, or you've learned something, you satisfied already, or whatever the case is. All right, so just keep that in mind, and that's what we're in the business of doing. But before we get into anything, what I have on the screen is what's called a Hotep di Nasut offering formula. This is a formula that's very prolific all over Egypt for throughout its entire duration of its existence. All right, you'll see these everywhere. And so this is a basic one. The different formulas for different people will have different items. Some are shorter than this, what you're looking at. Some are much longer. This is a generic one that we use to recite to kind of set the stage and open up our discussion. So I believe, Sanshan, you were gonna recite to get us going.
Yes, sir. Hotep di Nasu, Wasir Neb Abju, Netcher A Neb Abju, DF Perit Kuru, Et Hinket Ka Apet Sesh Binket, Ket Nebet Neferet Wabet, Unket Netcher M, N Ka N, M Aku, Ma'a Kuru.
All right. So that pretty much sets the stage, and we use the offering formula as like a beginning foundation of our discussions, and that has been a custom of Dr. Raketi Amen, and so we do likewise to start a discussion with an offering formula. Now, in person, when we have certain events, what people tend to do to open up whatever event, they will have a libation ritual, libation ceremony, the pouring of libation and things like that. So, but since we're online and everything, we're not going to be pouring water on our keyboards or anything. So, we elected to do the offering formula. All right. So just to give you a little backdrop on why we do that. All right. So let's open it up. So tonight is Friday, and we have an open discussion. It's called AMA Ask, which stands for Ask Me Anything, but it's more so Ask Us Anything. And so we may have some things to bring up and discuss, but we also want to hear from you in the chat. If you have any questions, type it in. We're going to make sure that one of us will, monitor any questions in there, and we'll do our best to answer or bring it up. And if we don't know the answers to them, we'll help you find it, or we'll look and whatever the case is. All right. So we don't claim to know everything. We know what we know, and we share what we know. And then we are also just as hungry to learn new things. So if you have something to share with us, by all means, do so. All right. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm just running point on the conversation, but I'll pass the mic to whoever wants to kick off the first topic of discussion, and we can go from there. All right, now y'all know the silence is definitely not going to work, because I will definitely manifest MC Iron Lung before we do the silence, the silence thing, So, all right, so let me start something off then. Now we just now had the offering formula up, and I just want to show you all something here. Okay, in this offering formula, now you can't see my cursor for this particular picture, but if you look at the glyphs, if you look at the top portion where the glyphs are, if you look at the last row, all right, there's 4 rows, the 4 rows, but look at the 4th row, the last row, and you look at the last 2 glyphs in that last row. And when I say last 2 glyphs, I'm talking about the glyphs that are on the right, because these glyphs are read from left to right. All right. Those last 2 glyphs spell out the phrase ma'akheru. Okay, ma'akheru. Now, I just want to clarify something that I've seen. I forget where I saw it. I'm trying to recall where I saw it. But just to clarify, so in case you see it or you see somebody else make this claim, make sure you correct them. Okay, so I've seen somebody say that the word ma'a, the way they word it is that the word ma'a also means to see. Okay, and that is wrong. That is incorrect to say it that way. All right, the word ma'a, we don't say that the word ma'a also means to see, because when somebody say that, we know ma'a means truth. And so what they say is that ma'a also means to see, and that's not the case. What's really going on is that we have our modern day pronunciations of these words. We refer to it as classroom Egyptological speech, or we nickname it Egyptology speak. All right, and we pronounce it ma'a, and the way we pronounce it, it sounds similar to ma or ma, which is a word that means to see. But these are 2 completely different words. So we should never say that ma'a also means to see. We should just say that there's another word, ma'a, that means to see. So you see the difference? We don't want to mislead people to think that ma'a means truth and then it also means to see. That's not the case. All right. They sound alike in our modern pronunciations, but they're not even spelled alike in the glyphs, and they're not even transliterated alike in our transliterations. The word to see, when we transliterate it, it would be M capital A capital A. This word is M capital A and then a lowercase a that you see on the screen. But you're looking at the diacritic transliteration system and not the case sensitive one that I was just quoting from. So I just want to make sure that that's clear and understood. So when people do that, you have to be cautious and correct them, because what they're really not considering is what we call homographs, homophones, or homonyms. One of the 3. Homographs are words that are spelled alike. In our case with the hieroglyph or the Sesh Medew Netcher, they would have the same glyphs. If it weren't for determinatives at the end of these words, a lot of words would be homographs. But the determinatives at the end of the words straightens that out for us. Okay, so the Remich hooked us up. The scribes, ancient scribes, they hooked us up. They didn't leave us out there. So they created a classifier system in the writing system, and we don't have to deal with too many homographs. Now, homophones are words that sound alike. Hence the word phone is sound. Now, in our modern pronunciations, a lot of these words are going to sound alike. But in ancient times, most likely they sound completely different because of the vowels, the different voweling. All right, so we always have to keep all that stuff in mind. We have that issue in English. Pretty much most languages around the world have these phenomena, homophones, homographs, or whatever the case is. All right. In English, we know them. Let's see if we could think of one. Dear. The word dear. Either I could say dear as in dear Teresa as a greeting in a letter, or I could say dear and I could be talking about the animal. The way I'm pronouncing it It sounds alike. That's be a homophone. They're not homographs because they're spelled different. Okay, so that's different. Like two, two, and two. The three different twos, they're spelled three different ways, so they're not homographs, but they're homophones. They sound alike. Two, two, two. Two as in T-O, the preposition. Two, T-O-O as in the word also. And then two, T-W-O as in the number. All right. So I just want to start off our discussion by making sure that that's crystal clear. And if you're one of those people who didn't think about that, now you know. And when you know, you can do better. All right. And that's what it's all about. All right. So now open the floor up.
Okay, since we're speaking about homographs, I would like to not so much as in ask a question, but just to make a statement, a little observation. And when we deal with homographs, we've had that ongoing discussion with the word chem, which is also a homograph, pretty much. And I was listening to Garfield's show, and I think it was the elder Reggie was there, and he had a question for you about page 15, famous page 53, and the word Athribis, and the infamous great black bull. And my observation was, and I don't know if any of the listening audience do have purchased the book, but from his question, I realized that I'm not sure. It seemed like he probably didn't go through that whole entire book, because the question that he asked, and you know how sometimes you have your lecturer and they tell you to read something and you don't read, but then they ask you a question, or and then you say you read it, and then they ask you, do you have any questions, and then you ask something that will tell the lecturer that, okay, you definitely did not read the assignment I gave you to read. It was one of those things that I quickly noticed, and it was that his question actually, as strange as it seems, was actually, he would have actually had a very, very satisfying understanding and answers if he had actually utilized the other pages of the book, apart from page 53, and going from page 35 all the way to, I believe, page 42. And for the audience, you can definitely, if you know what the question was, please go back and if you have the book, go through pages 35 and 42. And that entire, that actually is like a groundwork for explaining his question, the question that he had regarding the word, the great black, which actually, as I said, why you did not choose to use the word black in that sense, and that part, not to give so much away, it pretty much answers that question, and it actually in regards to wordplay and the use of homographs, why they sound alike, where there's a comparative method that is used between the words mer and chem to ascertain why the chem is not black, and why there was a play on words between the chemware for the black bull and the chemware for the place at Thebes. So I just wanted to make that statement, because it was those are the kind of things that was a little bit disappointing to see somebody who's held up in high esteem actually come in and ask something that even as a layman who was taking time to read would be like, why would you ask that when it's already explained in other parts of the book, So that's just my observation, and obviously because the question actually also, the answer is also in regards to homographs that you were talking about. Quick summary on that.
Okay, so that's a good point. So let's all right, so let's talk about that a little more though. Because I'm not sure people who are watching us now or who may watch this archive, they may not be familiar with that conversation. So I guess it was 2 days ago now, or maybe even 3 days ago, I was on Garfield's show, morning show, I believe. It was on one of Garfield's shows. He has so many. And the brother Reggie had came into the chat and made an attempt to challenge me to a debate in the chat. And and I understand the playfulness of all, challenging and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit of showing off going on and all that kind of stuff. That's, I understand that. But what I informed the brother Reggie about me is that I take the position of Dr. John Henry Clark. Okay. I've never met Dr. John Henry Clark. I would have loved to meet him, but he's one of the scholars that I definitely look up to and adhere, to what he taught and everything like that. But I shared Dr. John Henry Clark's sentiments when in a famous debate that he had with along with Martin Bernal against Mary Lekowitz and the other person she was with, and I always forget that person's name, but a lot of people should be familiar with that debate, that so-called debate, really. And at the very, very beginning of that debate, Dr. John Henry Clark said, he made it clear to the audience. He made a disclaimer. He said, I am not here, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, I am not here to debate anyone. He said, I only debate my equals and all others I teach. So he was laying the foundation that he wasn't there to debate anybody and that he didn't see the people on the other side of the table as his equals. So he set the tone that he's going to teach them something. And so I share in those sentiments because a lot of debating that so-called debating that I see online is not really debating. And a lot of people are not really competent in the subject matter that they're making attempts to debate about. So it ended up being just fussing. And if it's not fussing, it ended up being teaching anyway. And so why create an adversarial environment to share and teach rather than just simply share and teach without the adversarial and opposition and competition and ego flying and flaring everywhere and stuff like that. So, and all the drama. So I avoid all that stuff. I take the more professional and mature approach and the more beneficial and effective approach to avoid all that kind of stuff and just deal with the information. So that's why I shared with Reggie in the chat. But what Reggie was speaking about could be handled very, very quickly. So I called into Garfield's show and Reggie refused to speak to me at first at the same time. So, which was unfortunate in the beginning. But anyway, we end up getting on the line together. And so Reggie had a problem with page 53 out of our book. And the way he was asking or making his statements, I had to ask him, did he even have the book? Because the way he was talking was as if he just had a screenshot of page 53 and only a little portion of it. And I'm going to show it. So let me just show it because I'm going to explain this to everyone real quick here. Let's see if I could do this, how fast it will take for me to pull this up. All right, give me a moment. I'm gonna pull it up. All right, and I definitely need to turn off my notifications. Okay, now see, we getting this silence. So I'm going to show this very quickly here. All right, so I'm going to go to page 53 and just kind of do a little quick recap of what that conversation, I'm going to summarize it, so I'm not going to be too long because it was taken care of. But this is just to get everybody caught up who's watching us now and who's watching the archive. I'm going to get you all, hook you all up and get you caught up on what Sonnet Emicat was speaking about. All right, so here is page 53 out of our recent publication. Okay, so now before I even say that, let me explain what the publication is. All right, and I'm going to show you a picture of the book and make sure that you get it if you don't already have it. Okay, so here's the book itself. All right. It's available on Amazon. If you don't have it, shame on you. All right. Because you should have it. If you're watching us now, everybody who's watching us right now, you should have it. All right. Because we put it out there to share information and we want to bring people up to speed. But it's entitled A Contribution to the Debate on the Meaning of the Place Name Kemet, written by the Shemsu Heru research team. And that includes myself, Asar Imhotep, and Sanjeti Ankara. All right. It's us three now, and it may expand. All right. It's not, hopefully we don't keep it, which is us three. But anyway, that's the book. All right. And so now I'm on page 53 within the book. Now, the purpose of us writing the book is it's 4 essays in there. And the essays, the whole entire book is written as a complement to a conference that we were invited to, the ASCAC conference, the annual ASCAC conference that took place back in April. Okay. The brother Reggie had pulled some strings or whatever the case is, and wanted and was able to get this topic on the floor to allow information to be shared and discussed about it in the form of presentations. Now, normally in those kind of environments, you're only given 15 to 20, at the most 30 minutes to present. All right, at the most, and 30 minutes is rare, but usually 15 to 20, depending on how big the conference is and how many presenters are there and stuff like that. So you only really prepare to speak for 15 minutes. And if any of you all have ever done any presentations, 15 minutes goes by like a blink of an eye. Okay, 15 minutes goes by very fast. And this type of topic on the meaning of the place name Kemet, there is no way that you can have a discussion about that in 15 minutes. Not 30 minutes, not 45 minutes, or an hour. You just can't do it. So in knowing that, what we did was we wrote essays that will complement our presentations. Now, I was unable to make it. All right. So I didn't give a presentation. I was not there. The brother Sarmotep and the brother Sanjeti was there. All right. So it was a good thing that I wrote this essay, because the essay is what I would have presented. But obviously, I wouldn't even be able to say everything that I put in the essay, because you only get 15 to 20 minutes. So this is something that people could walk away with and walk out with and read and get to understand what the information is and our position and so on and so forth. So that's the purpose of us writing it. And we outlined that purpose in the introduction of this book. Okay, along with the whole history, a summary of the history of this debate on the meaning of the place named Kemet. So all of that is in the intro of this book. So I just want to let everyone know who, if you don't have the book, that's why we wrote the book, and that's what it's about. The book is about 100 pages. Okay, so it's not some pamphlet, but it's not a thick book either. It's a good read. It's about 100 pages. Okay, but we write in the intro what the purpose is. But anyway, so the brother Reggie took issue with page 53. Now, mind you, we published this book in April. So here we are in July. That's April. You got a little bit of April, because we published it, I think, third week of April. So you got a little bit of April, May, June, and now we're in July. So over 3 months have gone by. And so now the brother Reggie has an issue with page 53. Okay, after 3 months and this publication, page 53 was an issue that was brought up. Okay, and I'm showing that. And so his issue with page 53 was, and you got to go and watch the video to hear everything, because I'm just giving you all a summary. What it boils down to, by Reggie's own admission, he didn't say anything on his page was incorrect. Okay, and that's by his own admission. He said that I was correct about what I put on page 53. What it boiled down to, and I made sure I made this clear in the conversation, was basically it was just a prerogative or preferential thing with what Reggie wished how I would have worded it versus how I actually worded what I worded. And so his issue was that on this page, I don't mention the Great Black, which is what this word here would mean. Kemet Weret, or Kemwer, the Great Black. So I show the glyphs. I show the transliteration in both instances right here, even for Kemet right here and everything. So his issue was that I didn't put the Great Black, because that's what he's focused on, black. Kemet meaning black and the whole nine. So that's what it really boiled down to. Now, so Emiket, what you were just saying is that now mind you, because of what Reggie was saying, I had to keep asking him, did he read the book? Or at first I asked him, does he even have the book? And then he had his web camera on and showed the book. So I know he had it because he held it up to the camera. So he had it. But having a book and reading it are two different things. Also, having a book, reading it, and understanding it is another thing. That's a third thing. So then I said, okay, so you have the book. Then in my mind, I was saying to myself, you must not have read it, because he said that we failed to mention that Kim Ware is black, Great Black. Okay, so Emiket, based on what you were saying, and you've read it, you said had he read the book, and this was my sentiment as well. If he read the book, then he would have that all of that was discussed prior to page 53. All right, so let me skip. So what page did you say you saw that on, Emiket?
The page pretty much starts around 40, but if you go on to page I guess page 39, page 39, it starts from page 35, but from page 35 you can find where there's comparative method done between the words mer and kem, and then it goes all the way to page I believe page 41, where it talks about why the kemware in the Great Black and the kemware in a three base are usually confused for one or the other. So I think from page 39 to 35 to 40, just to keep it short, but it starts from page 35.
All right, so I'm not
There's a long treatment to it.
Yeah, all right, I'm not going to go to page 30 all the way to 35, but what I want people to understand is that, like I said, this publication was written by myself, Asar, and Sanjeti, and there's 4 essays in there. Asar wrote 2 of the essays, I wrote 1, and Sanjeti wrote 1. And the way we wrote this book was the first essay deals with methodology. And so Asar is explaining what necessary methodology must be used in order to solve this problem or to answer the question on the meaning of the place name Kemet. So in this whole section, that's what this first section is about. And so by the time you get down to page 39, Asar is showing some comparisons between Chikam, which is the ancient Egyptian language, is what he refers to it in the book, with Chiluba, which is a Bantu language. All right, and he's showing some correspondences and between some consonants and things like that. So by the time you get to page 39, and I'm going to share my screen back again. And again, I encourage you all to get the book. So although I'm sharing these specific pages, get the whole book so you can understand and see what I'm referring to, because I'm going to be limited on what I'm going to share, because we want you all to read the book, get the book, and support, and so that you'll be fully informed to be able to come back and join the conversation properly. All right. But if you notice, this is page 38. Okay. So even on page 38, you can see where he's making comparisons between Chikam, internal comparisons of the Egyptian language. We have dialectical variances, and not to get into something technical now. There is an overwhelming evidence in the Egyptian language where we can plainly see that at the very least there's 2 dialects going on. simultaneously. Just like within Coptic, and if any of you all are familiar with Coptic, you know that scholars break up Coptic into dialects. You got the Baharic dialect, the Sahidic, the Fayumic, the Akhmimic dialect of Coptic. So they break those up. Well, they don't do that for Middle Egyptian, and they don't do that for Late Egyptian, and they don't do that for Old Egyptian. But yet, doing the linguistic work, the comparative work, we can clearly detect that there were dialectical variances even within those stages, what scholars call stages of the language. Okay, and so so Asar has done a lot of work to prove that. So I'm not going to get into that, and he doesn't go into a lot of detail about that part here. But I'm just going to show, because I'm leading up to what Emikep was saying, that we have here. So look here, right here, we have the word meret, which means black cow, and then we have its dialectical counterpart, kemet, which also means black cow. Okay, so you see kemet, and he has black cow here. And you got to remember that Reggie's issue was that we do not, he said that we omitted or do not put black bull or the great black and all this other kind of stuff in the text, specifically page 53. So he's like just stuck on page 53. But here we are on page 38 where you see black cow, big as day. I'm going to scroll down. You're going to see further. You see Kim Ware. This is the phrase Kim Ware. It says great power, great bull, or great king. All right. I'm going to keep it going. Over here, you see Kemet, which is black. Talking about the Serapeum. Kemet right here. Black bovines. Everyone knows what a bovine is. Type of cattle. So, black bovines. Here, Kemwer, the great black one. Wasir or Osiris. Kemwer again, which is a region of the Bitter Lakes. So throughout the text, all of this is explained. So what it ends up being is either the brother Reggie did not read this text, or he didn't comprehend the text if he read it. And I'm not going to pretend to know which of those, or it could be something totally different. But as you all can plainly see here, that we do mention Kimware, we do say great black, we do say black bull or black cow and black bovines and all this other kind of stuff. So, and mind you, this is on page 39. Even down here, where Asar is explaining it in the paragraphs that he's writing, Asar is breaking down that Kimware, the great black one. Look here, Kimware, the great black one, and in parentheses Osiris. All right, Ka-ware, ware meaning great or big, and then Ka being a word for bull, so the big bull. So all of that is being explained here. Okay, and here he said we didn't say black bull, but here it is right here. A few late period examples will show that the black bull and a thribis Kimware are two different things. So we do mention it in the text. So the entire conversation or the entire issue and problem that the brother Reggie had was simply easily fixed if he just reads the text. And that's basically what I pointed out to the brother on when we had our discussion. But obviously it was to no avail because it's been fashionable of the brother Reggie to just keep making videos or keep conversating as if these things weren't said. So, but is this what you were talking about, Emikep?
Yes, exactly that. And I know if you went further down, and we don't need to show people that because people do need to buy the book as well, is that it goes even further to explain, showing two different examples with two different sentences where you have both Kemwares and the conclusion after doing all that work.
I'll show
okay.
it. Here it is right here. So
right.
on the next page, on the top of page 41, we have a sentence: Wasir ka Kemwer her ib Kemwer. Osiris, the great black bull who resides at Kemwer, a thribis. Footnote at 44, and then he has the actual citation here to do further research. The second sentence, Waser Ka Kim Her Ib Kimwer, Osiris, the black bull who resides at Athribis. Okay, so for the brother Reggie or anybody out there to make the claim that we are afraid to say black bull or black cow or black this or black, that's really a sign, a clear sign that either those people, whoever they are, specifically brother Reggie, in my case, he either didn't read the book or he read it and missed this, or there's something going on with comprehension. And I mentioned this on the show that it boils down to a comprehension issue, or just out of just a lack of putting forth some time and some effort. But yet the brother tried to call me out on a debate, and so he confirmed why I side with Dr. John Henry Clarke, because it would be a waste of time for me to debate somebody about this when in fact we mention black bull all throughout the text. So if somebody wants to debate me on this, but it's right there in the books, you see how silly that can get. And so that's why I have the stance I have. All right. And anybody who is familiar with me, that's the stance I've always had. I don't do those petty debates. All right. Bring me your, if I don't think a person's competent, I'm not going to debate. All right. We could discuss, we could share, and all that kind of stuff and have a real good conversation. But anyway, I just wanted to show you all that to kind of fill in with what Emicat, what you were just saying, and so on. So here, this is the text. This is page 41. That was page 40 I was showing you, and so on. So, get the book. If you don't have the book, get the book. All right. So yeah, so that's that. So hopefully everyone can be satisfied with that one. So anybody got something else to bring up? And keep in mind, I haven't been looking at the chat, but one of us should monitor the chat to make sure that questions that come out of there. So anybody have anything else? No. So as far as you all on the panel though, what do y'all think of that? Like what are your thoughts on the fact that somebody will, among other viewers, try to challenge me on a debate about something that is not even a debating issue and can be easily corrected if they just kind of flip backwards in pages and see that the black bull is mentioned, explained, and the whole nine? What's that about? What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, before anybody else asks, I just wanted to say that for me, yeah, that actually that's a disappointing. That's that's where the veil is taken out of your, where like if you're living a life of ignorance, you kind of get to see the truth. It's a disappointment to see somebody who you think their skills are up there make just this very, very basic mistakes. And this one is not even about the understanding of the language, but it comes with just reading comprehension, because anybody who you don't have to know how to read Sesh, Medew, Netcher, but you do have to know how to read any text that is put before you, and discern what is being explained by the author. And when you see that, that's just a basic skill that was not there, and you come in and you ask something that is just so basic. So that was disappointing. And the other thing that I noticed, and I've noticed that a lot, and I just wanted to add that, is that there's this hypocrisy, and it is the fact that because when you read this page, you get to understand why it is said, and that why it is the errors that are being done by Egyptologists, and he explains why this is the case and why we need to be aware of this. And then you have somebody who usually riles the audiences and counts on and bets on and the ignorance of the audience, and tries to paint a picture of people who use European sources, and then the same person actually goes and is insisting on, why didn't you use the Europeans translation that is on in their dictionaries? Why didn't you do that? And in the page actually shows why you guys actually say that this is not the case. So that's just being hypocritical, because either if you're going to beat on other people for using European sources, you should stay away from European sources and European translations. But in this case, it's actually somebody beating you down on not using the European translations and how they actually translate that Kemware.
Right. And so while we're on this, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room to put on record on this video. So for those of you who are watching, just understand, I want to straighten something else out here. So another issue was brought up, and that is, I'm gonna give an example. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this example up. Okay, so mind you, this is still on page 41, and I'm gonna reshare my screen. Okay, so this was brought up. This was brought to my attention. And by the way, the brother Reggie, the brother is a good brother and everything. I met the brother. He's a good brother. I don't know much about him. I have a chance to meet him. I'm familiar with him from the Sonetta platform and just like everybody else, and everything. And I don't have anything personal against the brother whatsoever at all. So I just want to put that out there. And I'm sure that he'll probably most likely say the same with me. And he has said that as well. It's just really about information. And so I understand he wanted to try to challenge me to a debate. He was saying, Garfield set it up and stuff. And I already mentioned that, my stance on debates is I take John Henry Clark's lead on that. All right. And I let him know that. I let everybody know that. Like, it's no secret. I put it all over my Facebook page. I have a picture of John Henry Clark and with the phrase, the statement, and the whole nine. I tell people that with the quickness. Okay. Because I don't waste my time. I'm a teacher of this information and similar information, and I rather teach than have this little ego jousting type of dramatic rap battle style debating when I had to teach anyway, okay, in the majority of the times. Now, if there's somebody who's competent and proficient in something and they have a disagreement with me, then I handle that. I don't have no problem with that at all. But that's not what I'm seeing, especially when the brother wants to challenge me to a debate about a word that is in the book that he doesn't know it's in the book because he didn't read the whole book, or if he read it, he didn't comprehend it, and then that gets into reading comprehension issues, and that may be a personal matter, and I don't, I can't make a claim to that with him. But what I'm showing on the screen here, this is another thing that was said, and I refer to this as real petty, and even the whole black cow or black bull thing can be said as being petty as well. But so this is another thing that's being said. Oh, and by the way, as far as the brother Netter Neb has blocked me on Facebook, so I don't see anything he posts or any stuff, and I really don't care. I don't. It doesn't really bother me one way or the other. But people will come to me with questions about something that somebody else said, and sometimes either he said it in the past or whatever the case is. And one of the things that was brought to my attention was that this quotation style here, right? It's being implied that we copy and paste from the online database service called nicknamed the TLA, and so we copied out of here. So they're trying to say that, okay, we're plagiarizing or we're copying a style, not and what that tells me is that people who say that, they're not familiar with scholarly works that actually utilize the German Wörterbuch physical copies of the references or the online database, because everybody does this. Everybody does this. That's why it's there. Okay. And so it was said that we paste this here, or I pointed to me, I guess, because they were talking about page 53 still, but I'm showing page 441 for right now. They claim that this is copied, and the citation wasn't given. And to me that is very, very, I'm trying to put it real nice. That's just very silly. Okay, I'll just put it that way. It's very silly because this itself is citations. These abbreviations are the citations. WB is Waterbuck, Volume 1, page 331, entry number 12. That's what this means. The Waterbuck, Volume 1, page 331, entry number 12. That's what that means. This itself is a citation. So that's what I'm saying. That's real petty. And so what it really boils down to is that I noticed, and I'm sure that other people notice, that what we really have going on in this social community is a lot of people that just hate for the sake of hating. And people are not in the business of actually progressing forward with information. And I can't understand it, and I don't get involved with that. But I just want to show y'all that is what's being said. Now, where this comes from is called nickname TLA. Now, it was said that we don't even cite that, like say it. But let me just show y'all, just real quick. Let me show y'all. Go on down here. You'll see where it says websites. One of the websites that's here is the TLA. The TLA is abbreviation for Thesaurus Lingua Egypti. The website's address is right here. The name is right here. We simply abbreviate and call it TLA. So if y'all hear people saying that we use the TLA and we don't say we use the TLA or whatever the case is, just tell them, all right, whatever. All right. So I just want to point that out while we're on this subject, because it's getting real silly out here, and that's not very productive. All right. So I refer to that as being very petty. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of point that out as well. All right. And before I go on to something else, does anybody else have any topic? If not, let me point out one other thing. All right, I want to point out something else. Okay. And let's do that. So another thing that's been brought to my attention. And I might as well handle it now because we're on here. And listen, and see, these folks want to try to challenge to a debate and set up an event and do this and that. And you see how easy somebody debate about the black bull. You see how easy I can say, well, listen, turn to page 38, 39, 40, and 41. You'll see black bull right there. Done. There's no need to be dramatic and set up an event and tell somebody to set up a debate and I'll challenge you and this and that. That's really crazy to me. Okay. And then the thing about the TLA, you see how easy that is? And now here's the third thing. So, because those three things that was brought to my attention. All right. Well, two with what MK brought up just now. But I'm going to show you all something. I'm going to go back to page 53 because for some reason, boy, page 53 must have struck a nerve with some folks. So let me share 53 again. All right. So here we are. We're back on page 53. Okay. So what is being claimed is that I am guilty of intellectual dishonesty and I violated chronology. That's what I'm being accused of. Now, in that accusation, it is being said that I claim that Medew is derived from Hut Hiri Ib. When Medew is a Old Kingdom term that's found in the pyramid text, and I give the example right here, pyramid text of Neith, 674, and I give the instance where we can see it right here, Medew. Okay, so the word Kemetiu is attested in the Old Kingdom, and more specifically, it's attested in the Pyramid text. Whereas Hut Heri Ib is not attested until later. But what I'm being accused of is I'm accused of claiming that the word Kemetiu is derived from Hut Heri Ib, which shows up later. And then that's a violation of chronology. But the problem with that is that I never make a claim like that. At no time do I ever verbally in any of my videos, on Facebook posts, or in this text do I ever claim that the word Kemetiu is derived from the word or the phrase Hut Heri Ib. I never make such a claim, ever. So what's going on here is that now people have to fabricate claims that are never made and then argue against that fabricated claim to give the appearance that they're doing something or winning an argument. And to me, that is intellectual dishonesty. So I want y'all to understand again, I'm being accused of intellectual dishonesty when in fact the claim that they're saying I made, I never made. And then they're arguing against a claim I never made, trying to say that I'm intellectually dishonest. When in fact, that in and of itself is intellectual dishonesty. I never make a claim. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this right here, right now. No one will ever find me making that claim. Ever. That the word Kemetiu is derived from Hut Heri Ib. That makes no sense to me. I would never make the claim. And I don't make the claim here. In fact, I tell you where it's derived from. By these arrows. The word Kemetiu is derived from Kemet, not Hut Heri Ib. You see, Kemet produces Kemetiu. And this whole section, I'm explaining how demonyms are formed within the ancient Egyptian language. You take a toponym, you do something to it, and it becomes a relational adjective, aka a Nisbi adjective. And these Nisbis are what we would call today demonyms. No different, just real quick so people can understand what I mean by that. In English, I'm going to give English examples like I do in the book right here. Jamaica is a place. It is a name of a place, thus a place name, hence a toponym. The word toponym means place name. To make it a demonym, in English, we just add an N on it and it becomes Jamaican. This word Jamaican designates a person or a group of people and their relationship to their place of residence or place of origin. So Jamaica becomes Jamaican. Mexico, the place, becomes Mexican. America, talking about the U.S., becomes American. Canada becomes Canadian. It's just that simple. So the toponym, how we do it in the Egyptian language, the place name Kemet, instead of saying Kemeten, like how we would do in English, we form what's called a relational adjective. And in this instance, we would say it as Kemetiu. So Kemet would become Kemetiu. And this is in the plural. Those who are related to or pertaining to this place. It's just that simple. This is what I explain. This is what I do. And this is what I explain all the time in the classes. I have grammar classes. I explain and break this down. We have videos on our channel where I talk about Nisbi adjectives. I talk about attributive adjectives, predicative adjectives, Nisbi adjectives. I talk about adjectives being one form of nouns, along with the other form being a substantive, all of that stuff. So I've never made that claim ever. So for anybody to say that I'm being intellectually dishonest and violating chronology, that's insane. Okay, so I just want to nip that in the bud right now before it grows legs. All right, so y'all heard it here right now because I want to hit it now because I'm not going to keep going creating these videos back and forth and all this other kind of stuff. That's a waste of time. And see, that's the problem. A real scientist, a real researcher, we don't behave that way. We don't behave this way. All right? That's not how you do it. Okay? So hopefully everybody understands. And you know, like I said, if anybody got any questions about anything that we've been talking about so far, type it in the chat, and I'll start paying attention. But yeah, so I'm gonna pass the mic because I think I got everything that I wanted to bring up. Actually, I wasn't even gonna bring this up, but I'm gonna blame it on Cat for bringing it up. But
No, but it's good to clarify because that just shocked me really, and you know, and like when things are just in plain sight. And I'm gonna say this. Listen, English is not my first or my second language. Okay, so for me to go through that book and understand and see and, you know, go through it and see, obviously we have questions. There's questions that you can, depending on your level of understanding, but there's some basic things that when you see somebody ask, and, you know, first somebody who is supposed to understand even more, not just the English part, obviously, but also the intricacies of the subject that is being discussed. When you see somebody make such rookie mistakes and errors, you get shocked, you know. And I had to and I know that some people didn't have the book, and might actually think that you know, that there's a point being made, a valid point. And I just wanted to let people know that no, there's not a valid point, and because some people don't know and they don't have the book, so we do need to clarify these things. And I know that on the show you did really explain it well on a Garfield show, but I just wanted to let other people know, you know, when you get the book, or if you have the book, just go whatever questions were being asked, and so that you understand what Uja was trying to explain. Don't get stuck on page 53. Page 53 is not the book. You know, the fact that there's a page 53, like you said, means that there actually are other pages. So go through those other pages, and then you will understand just how silly these things are. You know, and why sometimes, you know, I don't even understand, like, why people feel like they need to inject themselves in a conversation that is not for them. They're not qualified to even speak on it, instead of just let people work and let other people who are experts ask the right questions, so that people can advance in a proper manner. Because all that this does is actually just waste people's time. Like, I know me and part of the other group, and you know, the members of the Seshu and other people who are watching, we would like to move to other you know, like really robust discussions, and not this gimmicky stuff. So, you know.
Exactly. So, all right. So hopefully that's out the way. And you see how easy that is. And I'm being a little long-winded, but these are easy things. And for anybody to do that kind of stuff, I refer to it as petty, especially the petty thing about you know, and then the name, you know. And I saw, you know, someone told me a little bit about name calling and stuff like that. The brother Reggie saying we're silly. I'm being called a lunatic or whatever the case is. See, none of that stuff bothers me, because I understand, you know, what we're dealing with, you know. And so we got to just keep it pushing forward. And so what I encourage everybody to do is, if you don't have the book, get it. Don't try to entertain. Don't listen. At the very least, if you're going to try to challenge or disagree with something, at the very least, read the book. And it's really embarrassing or disheartening for somebody to try to have such a strong disagreement to where they feel like they want to debate and set up a debate and everything, and they didn't even study and read the book. All right. And so that's why I told the brother Reggie myself, because I say it straight. I told Reggie, I don't see him as an equal. I don't see him that way. I told him that I'm willing to teach him about this issue and what I found. And so he got on the call, and we had a discussion, and it ended up actually being I thought a decent discussion, because at the end of the discussion, he said that the page was correct, and that he only had a problem with the fact that I didn't put Black Bull on that page. But I can tell the way he's wording, he didn't know that Black Bull is written, you know, several times previous pages. You know what I'm saying? So So, but then for after that conversation, for something else to transpire, and people asking me about it, or showing me screenshots and stuff like that, where I'm being accused of intellectual dishonesty. See, that's where you get the immature little petty drama, and I'm not for that. I don't encourage it, and I'm not an enabler of it. All right. So I want to address that right here, right now, and that's why I don't give people my time in terms of debating. It's not worth it. It's a waste of time. All right. Um, so we can move on. So were there any questions in the chat? Anybody been monitoring that?
Yeah, I just want to say something that I believe that what the Shemsu Hero research team did, they did it with integrity, and they actually, you guys actually raised the bar as far as what scholarship looks like. It doesn't look like what we have been accustomed to over the past few years. What we've witnessed in the last 5 years was pretty much chaotic, and even we can go further back than that. We can, you know, we can go back to our greatest elders or our greatest minds, as we so say. Uh, we like to claim it in that era of the Dr. Benz, the Clarks, and John G. Jacksons and so forth. The stage was set with this book, and what that meant, and we tried to set the stage as the Seshu with our work. Has the Medew Netcher been deciphered? We actually attacked the claims, not the integrity of the elder, Mr. Professor Walter Williams. So we're demonstrating, everybody's demonstrating a pattern here on how scholarship works in academia. You can't sit on a stream every day to argue for the sake of argument on points that you just try to grab out of thin air to save face. You actually have to read the work you have a problem with and then correct it in writing and advance it. Like I was reading, and you always say this too, if we're going to advance knowledge, right, we have to be scientific. It means we need to know and we need to be able to do. So we need to demonstrate and not conversate as much as we do. And I think that this piece, by acknowledging the fact that this work has not been done, you guys are doing the work and you're giving a full treatment. This was just for the conference. You're doing a full treatment, shows that we have another level academically that we need to reach. This isn't about personality worshiping. This isn't about personalities, period. This is about moving our people forward so we're not stuck. We did a show, what was it, 2 years ago, asking the audience, are we stuck? And we keep showing signs that we can't get out of the last 100 years. So I just want to applaud the efforts and the work, moving the needle forward, because somebody had to do it. And of course, it's frowned upon because it was you guys that actually did it and nobody else. And I'm standing strong to that. Had other people had the integrity to fix the claim and then advance the claim, then you wouldn't hear this much noise, because we would be in full support of if somebody else would have stepped out there 10 years or 20 years ago or 30 years ago and said, hey, look, man, we got this wrong here. This is what was said, and so on and so forth. And they put forth that argument in a scholastic manner. But that did not happen. And it's like you guys did exactly what the great ancestor Dr. Diop said do. And I just want to recognize that point, man, that this is what's going on now. So for everybody that can hear my voice right now, this is what scholarship looks like. It's very scientific. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. See, like I always say, social engineering and social evolution is a real issue, and it's an issue that you don't recognize in real time because it happens very slowly, just like biological evolution. And before you know it, 10 years from now, there's a decline in reading, and there has been a decline in reading. People don't read as much, and the scientific illiteracy is at an all-time high. And so, with the lack of reading and with the lack of scientific prowess and literacy, then you have reading comprehension is on a decline. And then you get into learning disabilities that are a result of that. And so we really have to do something about that. And I put a post up on Facebook today about that, just reminding people that, listen, reading comprehension is on a decline. People are unable to comprehend what they read because a lot less reading is happening. And then we live in a world of sound bites now, whether it's audible and we say sound bites, or readable, and I don't think we have a word for that, but they're like word blurbs. I guess we call it blurbs. So little blurbs of things are read instead of full treatments. And so people don't understand and can't seem to read a full treatment of something and see the flow of information and how things are worded, how words are used within the context that they're used in, how paragraphs are formed, how, the first sentence of a paragraph is like the main umbrella of the paragraph, and then you detail it within the paragraph, and then you form another paragraph. How paragraphs are topic driven, how chapters are topic driven, or sections are topic driven. All these kind of things, we're losing it. And if people just get these basic skills and brush up on them, a lot of things will be a lot better. And a lot of the fussing that I see won't happen, because what I've seen about our book so far, and mind you, I'm going to remind everybody, it was published in April. Here we are 3 months later, and now we have people picking on page 53 and being so petty about it. The pettiness can be fixed by simply just reading. I shouldn't even have to open my mouth. If somebody would just read the rest of the book. One, a claim I never make. Two, the Black Bull is mentioned like all throughout pages before page 53. And then the whole quotation of the TLA, that's how everybody does it. And the TLA is mentioned in the book, among other websites that are used. All right, and citations and cited and stuff like that. All right, and listen, we put those essays together in about a couple of days right before the ASCAP. When I found out that I wasn't going to be able to attend, it was like, okay, let's put together some essays so that people could walk away, or whatever. Whether I attended or not, we were going to do that, because we understand the issue of presentations at these conferences. You only get 20 minutes, and on certain topics, you don't have to do this kind of thing. But on this topic, yes, indeed, because this topic is not a microwavable topic. This is a topic. Matter of fact, all of this is simply a prelude to a larger work that we are working on, and we're going to publish hopefully by the fall. Okay, I'm working on a grammar book, and collectively as a research team, we're working on a publication that's going to cover every single thing about this question. Okay. We're going to talk about the black cattle, the black bulls. We're going to talk about Athribis and Hut Heri Ib and all that stuff. Next time somebody say Hut Heri Ib, ask them, what does the daggone phrase mean? Hut Heri Ib and all that stuff. I mean, people are so focused on one thing, they lose the jewels in it. They got Hut Ib, the temple of the heart. People will translate that as a temple of the heart. They translate the word Ib as heart, and they say the temple of the heart or the heart's temple, but that's not it. It's really the heart, the temple of the mind. And see, today, as strange as it sounds, today we call that psychology, the study of the mind, an institution that studies the mind. Hut Ib, the temple of the heart, but the heart is a metaphor for the mind. The word ib is a word for the mind. This abstract thing that we call the mind. So there's Remich out there and priests out there that were today we would call psychologists. Period. But anyway, so anybody got something else? But let me address some of the questions I've seen. I think I don't want to neglect everybody who's watching us. So I see Sister Lisa asked her first question. She says, why haven't you allowed more than one woman to be part of the sexual group? That's a very good question, and we're looking for more sisters, women, females, to join the group, because we're definitely not lopsided. We're a co-ed group, so we're looking for people to join. The thing is that we have to reorganize the group itself, because this, it's metamorphed into something bigger. And so we have to kind of restructure it and everything like that. But yes, we want, our goal is to raise an army of scribes and to bring people under the fold of this institution in order to take the study of the ancient civilization, the ancient riparian civilization we call Kemet, serious, and can learn from it, not to live it or live in the past or try to go out there and live in the desert somewhere in ruins, but to mine it for its jewels, to see what we can use today and things. So we do want people to come under the fold, but at the same time, we don't play. So but that's a good question. Yeah, we want men and women. All right, Emiket right now is is the only sister, only female on, but I'm gonna be announcing it. The requirements and things like that, things that that people will know that we're about, because we're not just some internet clique that you just be able to say, hey, I'm part of the Seshu, and then don't do anything. So we're gonna outline all that good stuff, and people can see if they want to qualify and join and everything. We're not discriminate on gender. All right, so hopefully that's understood. We need a female's touch and input. All right, so what else? Anybody got to see something else? Let's see. Let us scroll. See, when I scrolled, I can't scroll all the way back now. So if y'all saw any questions. Anybody?
Hold on. I think I saw one. Will Mobley asked, can you speak on the obelisk, its purpose and its misrepresentation by various people?
Oh wow, that's a whole topic right there. That's a good topic though, but the obelisk was called Tekken. And it resembles the primordial mound, from which it involves creation and all that good stuff. If you're familiar with the story of creation, how the primordial mound, and from the mound, things were able to take footing, and it's all a part of the whole creation story. And you may have heard the term Ben. And then you may have heard the Ben stone, and how they the top of the obelisk or the top of the pyramid shaped like a pyramid, a pyramidion, and all those other kinds of things. But in terms of misrepresentation, you would have to make me familiar with how it's being misrepresented, because I'm not too sure of how people are misrepresenting it. I know people say it's a some people call it a penis, a phallus. And all, some people want to say Kemet is gay, and they got penises everywhere, and the Tekken represents that and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to, or whatnot. But that's an interesting thing, because there were several erected, and they were found and taken and dispersed around the world. There's one at the Vatican. There's one in New York. one or more in New York. There's some that's still in Egypt to this very day, and then maybe portions of some elsewhere. They're spread out. All right, so I know I didn't go into detail, but the reason why is because that's really a full topic in and of itself. Now, if we want to pull up a Tekken or an obelisk and read some glyphs on any of them, maybe we could do that as well. Because if you read the glyphs and you'll see what it says and why it says what it says, you'll kind of know what its purpose was and everything. So, like I said, so I apologize. I'm not going, all out into that, 'cause that's a whole show, really. And maybe we should do that. So I'm gonna write it down. We could do a whole show and do a presentation about the Tekken weed, the pair of them. How they flank the entrance to temples and stuff like that. And another topic that people don't bring up is the standards. The Netcher symbol being some people think it's an axe, some people think it's a flag, and all that kind of stuff. And it's real interesting that the temples have locations on the front walls of these temples where flags once were. And so you got these flags, you got these statues, you got these Tekkens that are there, and they're all there for a reason. So maybe we can have a good, nice show on all that good stuff. All right, so what else? Anything else? Cause I can't scroll back. I could see the latest stuff. Yeah. Any questions? I'm scrolling. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Bullet said it was a blank stare moment when he said that you was right, but he just would have done it different. And I figured envy was the real problem. Right. Exactly. So yeah. So I'm glad you picked up on that, because he basically said I was right. And see, this is another thing. Like I said, the brother Reggie is a cool brother. Like I said, I met him. He came to Atlanta. I had a chance to meet him and everything. I was happy to meet him. We sat down. We talked about Egypt stuff, talked about cryptocurrency and all that good stuff. It was good. It was actually at during some other function, here. I forgot what it was. But Reggie had called me over to him. He was in a conversation with somebody, and he was breaking down something, and he called me over to him to be able to read some glyphs he had pulled up, and I did that. So we kicked it, and it was all good. And so he refers to me. Now this is his words. He refers to me as a I don't know his exact words, because he says it differently different times, but he refers to me as a mdw-ntr scholar, right? And I don't know if he puts adjectives in front of it, like a great mdw-ntr scholar or any of that stuff. I don't know. I don't remember. But when that's done, right? Like I hear that, but when that's done, but then at the same time, people like that they consult others just because they're in disagreement, and these others are not as proficient or competent in the language as I am, then I raise my eyebrows to that. All right. I've been teaching the language for 8 years now, and I deal with it on a beginner's level, a grammar level, which includes morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics, translation, transliteration, all that good stuff. I deal with it forwards and backwards, in and out, up and down. All right. I can break down the smaller nuances within the language about how it works and everything. And this is what I do. And so to ignore all of that and then consult people who don't do that, not known for doing that, and is not competent or proficient in that, then I have to question that. So. But anyway, anything else?
Yeah. Marquise Kid says, "Have you ever examined evolution and the relation to Fibonacci ratios?" I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
Hold up. You say that again. Examine evolution.
Yeah. Have you ever examined evolution and the relation to Fibonacci ratios?
Um. Well, I don't want to get off the topic of Kemet, because when we do this AMAs,
Right.
I'm trying to keep it under the umbrella of any something related to Kemet. Now, if you asking if the Egyptians examined evolution or kind of believed in what has become modern in modern times, the theory of evolution, all that kind of stuff, then we could kind of touch on that, but that's another topic.
Right.
Evolution and Fibonacci sequences and ratios and things like that. Man, that's a whole nother topic, and that's a whole show in and of itself, because we got to be careful not to get off into the pseudo land with that, because I'm telling you, a lot of people like to discuss those kinds of things to pull away from science, though. Not to say the brother, whoever asked the question, is doing that, but you gotta be careful of unpacking that conversation. But just to say this, I'm gonna try to, even if this is not what the brother is asking. In terms of evolution, though, a book I recommend people to seek out and get is a book called the Book of Knowing the Transformations of Ra and Overthrowing a Pep. Get that book, because in that book, matter of fact, E.A. Wallace Budge has a translation of it in his book called The Egyptian Gods, volumes 1 and 2. Get those books because you'll find them online. All right. Most likely free. If not free, they're real cheap. Get those books. They're English translations of this particular text I'm talking about. There's a version A and a version B to that text. They're similar to each other, but they're a little bit different. They have little differences in them. Read that, and in there, put in your mind evolution, what you understand evolution to be, and then read that story, and then prep yourself to have a further discussion on that. But I'm just gonna give you a gist of it. What the Egyptians say in that text is that they say that all things. They say that this supreme being comes into the world as the things in the world and as the world itself. And so that statement, and I'm summarizing big time, but that statement alone lets you know that the Egyptians shared the sentiment of other African communities that God is existence itself. That there's nothing outside of existence, therefore nothing outside of God. And one of the major departures from that conceptualization of God versus the Abrahamic concepts of God is that in the Abrahamic systems, they believe that God created everything, but God is separate from that creation. That God is out there somewhere separate from the creation. Whereas in the other one, the concept, God is creation or is existence itself, and that all the things that we call things are part and parcel of God. So God comes into the world as the things of the world and as the world itself. And so that sets up a whole different paradigm to really think about things. And then you get into this ontological aspect, ontology and taxonomy, how existence itself is categorized by these ancient Africans, these different communities, and Egyptians, or the Remich being one of those communities that saw it that way. And this book will tell you where God is one, then he becomes three, because Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, all these different iterations of the same supreme being. And you're going to see in there, because it's the English version, but in Budges he provides the transliteration and the glyphs. You're going to see the word Kepra mentioned a whole lot of times. And the word Kepra itself is the word for change, to evolve, to become, to come into being. Okay? And so you see Keper, Keperi, Keperu, Kepera, all these different forms of the word Keper used back to back and all throughout the text, because it's talking about something unfolding or becoming. All right, so and I'm only bringing that up because when people bring up evolution is change. And so today's modern theory of evolution, biological evolution, is how organisms change and diversify over time, and all the details along with that. All right, so I don't think I answered that question, because I'm not, Fibonacci codes and stuff like that. That's a whole nother thing.
All right, there was another question in the chat by Alexander, but I think he wanted you to elaborate on it because you have mentioned this before. His question was, why did the Egyptians leave food for dead bodies with their digestive systems removed? I don't think I answered that question. What was, my bad, my volume went up. And he said, what was the real reason behind that?
Okay. The Egyptians, well, first of all, let's back up though, because there's an assumption that the Egyptians left food. If you one second, let me see if I can pull up something. Or let me ask you all on the panel: do any of y'all have a picture handy of a scene? And usually you'll find it on a stela of a deceased person and his food on the table and stuff.
Hold on, say that again.
If any of y'all have a picture handy of, and it's usually a lot on a stelas of a deceased person seated, and then there's food on the table in front of him or behind or below or whatever. Any scene with food in it. An offering.
Hold on. That you can throw up?
Yep.
MEK may beat me.
Anyone? Any of y'all?
Yeah, I was looking through it.
I have so many pictures. Take me too long. But anyway, so if y'all look for that. But anyway, so let me say this. That okay, so food being left. Without being long-winded, the decaying, a person whose body decays, or food whose body decays, where does the food go? Like the decaying process. So what happens is the explanation of things that decay. If you leave food out, it will eventually decay. Not the not today's food with artificial preservatives and stuff, where you could leave a McDonald's cheeseburger out for like 5 years and it'll still look the same. But if you take real, fresh food and stuff, fruits and vegetables, that if you leave it out, it will ripen, it will age, it will ripen, it will start to rot, decay, decline, and then disappear. And so where does it go? So the idea that the same thing happens to human beings, that because when we're alive, to sustain our lives while we're alive, we have to eat, because we are warm-blooded animals, and we are, I believe the term is metabolic, or catabolic, metabolic, and we burn calories and we burn food. We have to eat. We can't go long time without eating. We'll die. And so what sustains our life is food. So when we die, we're no longer here. And when food dies, it's no longer here. So the leaving of food out is represented the sustaining of life after life. Not that the person is going to eat the actual food that's left. That's one. And then two, how you can tie all this in is because the ancient Egyptians drew food. And by drawing food on the walls or on these different stela, which is what I wanted to show one of them, was sufficient to supply the deceased with the food. Wasn't real actual food left, but the drawings of the food was sufficient, which lets us know that that's what the intent or what they had in mind. All right. So, and like I said, without being long-winded, but you have to understand that the Egyptians were very much aware of the digestive system, because when they mummified bodies, they pulled the stomach out, the intestines out, the lungs out, and even liquefied the brain and sucked that out. They left the heart intact. They took the all the other organs out. And so for them to do that and then leave food, would be like a total contradiction. And so it's not meant to be literal or taken literal. There's much more to it than that. And like I said, without me being long-winded, because what it does, it gets into the composite body that the Egyptians viewed the human as being. So, for example, today we simply see ourselves as this homogeneous entity called a human being. But in many African communities, they didn't see the human being just as a human being. They looked at the human being as a composite of entities. And in Kemet, you may be familiar with these terms. The Khat, which is the gross matter or physical body, the cellular body, the physiological body. You have the Kaibit, which is a word for shadow, which is used as a metaphor because your shadow always follows you. So the Kaibit was the shadow of the Khat. And that shadow, in reality, was the animating aspect of our movements. It was the aspect of us that gives us the ability to move. So they call it the animal spirit. All of these words I'm saying, other than Khat, are sometimes translated as spirit, and then it gets ambiguous and all confusing. But I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown of these terms. So Khat is the flesh. That's the part that can decay and stink. So when you look up the word Khat, you'll see that some of the variations of the word are determined by a fish, because when fish rot, it stinks. And when a human being dies, if it's not properly embalmed and stuff, even today, if somebody is found dead over a period of time, you see it in the TV shows all the time. It's a big stench, and so they liken that stench to rotten fish. And so the word Khat is determined by a fish glyph in some of the variations of that particular word. Okay, so the Khat is the flesh that's what can decay and die and create an odor and all that other kind of stuff. And then the next entity within the composite of the human being was this animated aspect called the Kaibit. And it literally means shadow, but it's talking about the animating aspect, that which gives us the ability to move. This is why we're called animals. The word animal means is related to the words animation and animate. And it simply means our ability to move on our own volition. And then you have what's called the Ka. And people translate Ka as spirit, but they translate Kaibit as spirit. So then you're like, okay, well, what's the difference? So the Ka represents a sustained configuration of measurements of energy that we call energy. And this sustaining configuration of the measurements of energy is what gives people their expressions that we call personalities. And so some people will call the Ka the personality, but they won't. A lot of people don't go in depth and explain it though. but it's really a sustain, just like a piano. When you play a piano, a real piano, you have usually 3 pedals that's attached to the piano. One of those pedals on the piano is a sustained pedal, where you hit the key, the note, and you hit it and you push it on the pedal, the note will hold. To sustain means to hold. And so this configuration of this measurement of energy, this static configuration of energy is held. And this produces an expression that we today will call each other's personality. And throughout your lifetime, this sustained measurement of energy changes. And so thus our personalities change. And so that's dealing with the ka. And from the ka, you have the ren, because whatever your expression of that sustained energy is, we label it, we ID it. So the word ren means identification or name. And so this, through your lifetime, you get several names. Why? Because that configuration changes. Why? Because your personality changes. Okay? So like I said, without being long-winded and breaking it and going all in depth about it, because we would probably have to do a whole show and break all the other components, because you got the ka, you got the sa, you got the ib, you got the ak, you got the sekem, you got the ba. You got all these different components that makes up what today we call the human being. And then on top of that, you got the macro level of beingness, and then the supreme being. And so all those have interconnections and are at play with each other. There's some playing going on there. And so when we talk about food, right, the word for food in the language, there's a word ka that means food. There's a word ka that also means work. Okay? And there's a play around that, because what is energy? What is the definition? Anybody on the panel, what is the definition of energy? I mean, I don't expect the textbook definition, but what anybody think the definition of energy is? Unless you want to look it up. Okay, anybody there? Boy, this silence. All right, so anyway, energy is the capacity or ability to do work. That's what energy is. It's the measurement of the ability to do work. And so there's a play going on here, that the word ka, there is a word ka for food, there's a word ka for work, and there's a word ka that's being translated as spirit. The sustained configurational measurement of energy. People call spirit. And this is why people interpret spirit as energy and all that confusion. People are very confused about all that stuff because they don't understand this multiplicity, this multiplicity and unity at the same time, this simultaneous phenomenon that's going on, where you got this unit, but this unit is made up of multiple components, and the interplay and interrelationship between those components comprising the unit. Okay, so food is left. So the bulk of the food that we eat, we're getting energy from it. We call it, today we got all other kinds of words for this kind of stuff. We call it calories. We call it, the glucose, the sugars and all that stuff produce calories. The caloric intake produces this energy that we got to take and eat, and provides us the ability to move and all this other kind of stuff. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But in death, when the cot decays and stinks and rots, they try to prevent it through the mummification process, but the food also rots. And when it rots, there's other parts. So in the food, there are also multiple components. It's a composite. They didn't look at food as just blah, that's a food. Like this watermelon right here, it's just a watermelon. Just like the human being is not just a human being. Okay? So like I said, it's a long thing, and I don't want this video to be too long, but I hope I said enough to the brother to further elaborate and maybe put him on the right path to go look up. So look up these terms: Kat, Kaibit. What else I say? Ka, the Sa or Sahu, the Ib, and you got Rin, the Ak, the Sekem, and the Ba. You got these different aspects of being, and they have a function and they have a purpose, and they work together to form what we call the human being. But not just the human being, though. All right, because animals, like we call animals like out there in the wild, those creatures out there in the wild, we call them animals because they can move on their own volition outside of plant. So we have the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, because plants can't move on their own volition. So they don't have the same animating force or animating aspect as animals do, or everything that falls under the animal kingdom, which includes human beings. We are animals. But rocks and structures that don't move on their own volition, they don't have the same thing. All right, so anyway, keep that in mind. Yeah, there's levels to this. Anything else? Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. So yeah, so I don't know if there's any questions or anything y'all want to bring up. We'll close this out. We've got 15 minutes, so we're gonna wrap it up in 15 minutes. All right, so I see a question. Somebody asked, so did they remove the organs to preserve the body during the mummification process? Yeah, I want to make a comment about that. These are for those people who pseudo-eyes this third eye concept, being the pineal gland or the pituitary gland and all that kind of stuff. And they say the third eye and the eye of Horus and all that stuff is the same. So here's a bit of logic for that. If the Egyptians saw the pineal gland or the pituitary gland in such high importance to allow that to be the inspiration for the glyph of this eye, the eye of Heru or the eye of Ra, that people try to associate with that, then the question becomes, why did the Egyptians liquefy the brain and just scrape it out of the skull through the nose at death if it was important? They left the heart intact, but they just pulled out the brain. They scraped it out through the nose at that. So that's just a question. That's a piece of logic that has to be reconciled for those people who believe in that association like that. Okay, so because there's no text to back that up, and people just have ran with that and just make all that other kind of stuff up. So, but the reason the heart was the most important aspect, and we know that because the heart itself was used to represent the word ib. The word ib means mind. The mind is not a physical, tangible entity. It's an abstract entity. It's an abstraction. And in ancient Kemet, they had a lot of focus on the mind, because they realized that all physical acts are preceded by thoughts that exist in this abstract entity called the mind. So if you can probe the mind and control it, you can control actions and behavior. And this is the root of what psychology is all about: the study of the mind and behaviors, psychotherapy and all that other kind of stuff. Behavioral modification systems is what they set up, all based on the probing and the understanding of the mind. Because the word ib means mind, but it also means the interior, the essence of something. And we still have the same exact meaning today. For instance, when you hear people say, "Hey, I want to get to the heart of the problem," what do they mean? They want to get to the root of the problem. They want to get to the core of the problem. They want to get to the essence of the problem. But we use the word heart for that. Well, ancient Africans did the same thing. They used the word heart to mean core, your core. And also, what they also understood was that sleeping, when a person is sleeping, and a person who's dead, if you, based on visual lookership, just looking at those two individuals in that situation, they look very similar, but one can get back up, the other one can't. And so what they understood was that what was sustaining the person that we call alive and what wasn't sustaining the person that we would call dead is the fact that air was traveling through the nose. That's the difference. Air was traveling through the nose of the person who's sleeping. Because you sleep with your mouth closed, you're breathing through your nose. And so what sustained your life traveled through your nose. And so in the tombs and these scenes that you see, you'll see them hold unks, which is a word for life, up to a person's nose. Okay? And so they understood the difference, and they understood that the heart was the life drum, the drum of life. The heart stops pumping, no life. The heart pumps, life. And so that's your core. And so the correlation, the core and the mind, because all your acts start in the mind. That's the domain or the abode of thoughts. Okay, so they're familiar with all these different things. And when I name the different composite entities that make up the human being, Ib is one of them, which is the mind. But in that sense, it's the faculty of your will, your ability to choose. All human beings have the ability to choose. And that's all that aspect of your being can do. All it can do is declare or choose or initiate, but it cannot carry it out. It's like making the decision, but you can't do anything about it. There's another part of your being that actually carries it out. And these two parts of your being work together to accomplish those feats. So the initiator of all actions is the mind. So they focus on the mind. Now, I know what I'm saying. Y'all, some of y'all probably saying, what y'all was bugging or whatever the case is. But in case you're one of those people who say that, this is manifested in the language itself. In the Egyptian language, there is an abundance, a plethora of words that are formed, compound words that are formed with the word ib. And they all have to do with a person's disposition. So, y'all on the panel, do y'all know any words that are formed with the word ib that you can give me an example of?
You mean like phrases in a text?
So I'm just asking the question again. Compound words that are formed with the word ib.
Okay, if I'm understanding your question correctly, like the phrase "I would ib" and all that.
Okay, yeah, but people I can't. Repeat what you
No,
said.
because I didn't hear what you asked first, and then I was asking for clarity, so I would understand what it is before I said it.
Yes.
Okay. So you have the phrase "I would ib,"
okay,
which is pretty much saying happy, but it could be if you translate it literally, it would mean like long or stretching hard.
Okay, what word means what? Which one means what?
A would mean like long or stretch. and then ib would be heart.
Okay, so literally, awud ib would mean a stretched heart, but we know nobody's heart is stretched. So it's used as an idiom to mean happy, because if you have a stretched out heart, that means you're happy. Okay, so again, it talks about somebody's personality, somebody's how somebody is. And another one, anybody can think of another one? That's just one example. Can we think of any other ones? Any others? Nope. Okay, so I'll name one. We have what's called min ib, and that's actually in my name, Wujao min ib iri ma'at. But the min ib, the word min means stable, and it's the horizontal stability, whereas jed also means stable, but it's the vertical stability. Min is stable, so we're talking about a stable mind. And anything that is firm or stable, and actually the word min is also the word that is the root of the word menu, which means monument. And so when the Egyptians built monuments dedicating it to the king or to their family members or whatever the case is, they're talking about things that are firm, that are established, and will stay and last a long time. So min ib is something that is firm, a firm mind. Translated literally, it'll say a firm heart, but it means a firm mind. And that simply means somebody with confidence, somebody that has a stable will, a will that is that exercise its functions with confidence. Min ib. Then you have wa ib, wa meaning one or unique, and then ib meaning mind, one mind. That phrase literally is one heart, but it doesn't mean that when it's used. It's an idiom that means one mind, which simply means to focus. When you concentrate your thoughts in one area, or you focus on one area, that's what that word is talking about. Wa'ib is concentration.
I got one.
All right.
I was trying to say earlier. Mary Eve. Well,
Say,
I think it's better said if it was Mary Ib Tawi. I think that's in the titillary of one of the kings, though, which would be like the beloved mind of the two lands or something like that.
oh, no, Mary ib. Those words means affection.
In that sense, okay.
Yeah, it's a word for affection. So I mean that's a good one, but it's affection more so. So when a person is declared Meri Ib, it means that you are the love of my heart. And we know that the heart is not loved, and we'll say that today, like your children be like, oh man, that's my firstborn, that's my heart right there. But it's a word for affection. And again, all these words deals with a person's disposition. And so these are psychological issues. These are all this deals with psychology. And so back to the beginning of our conversation, when we say Hut Hiri Ib, you have temples that are dedicated to certain things. People say, okay, why would a temple be dedicated to the heart? What they do? But it's not about the heart, the pumping organ. It's about the mind. These institutions of psychological institutions. As weird as that may sound, but y'all will get it. Y'all will get to it. Like I said, there's levels to this. Somebody said that in the chat. Anything else? Because I'm the silence. Silence, I hear people say silence is deafening, but man, when we on these hangouts, that's actually when I actually realize what that means.
Oh no, I was checking the chat.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions? Y'all see anything, or y'all have anything?
All clear here.
And
Okay. So yeah, if anybody wanted to see more of what I was saying, just look in the, look in your Egyptian dictionary, look up ib, and look at all the compound words that are formed with ib. There's a whole lot.
Hey, I just found one. I was looking in the dictionary. It's Desher is. It means furious, and we use the color red to display, you know, if you're mad or something. So I thought that was interesting. Desher is furious.
Yeah, see, that's a good example. Desher ib. But what does Desher mean?
In this, I wouldn't know, but I mean, just Desher, I would say red.
Right. Yep.
That's why.
I was
That's
about
why I
to say
said it.
dry.
Well, no, that's why I said it was interesting because we use the color red now to this day to mean hot, mad, or whatever. Like you say, he red in the face.
Yep.
He furious. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said that's an interesting one right there.
Yep. And so we use these same things. Just like I said, we say I get to the heart of the matter. Same thing. We have kept up these metaphoric expressions. Desher ib, we say, oh man, you hot. Look at him, he's hot. But we don't mean he's hot to temperature, but he's hot as in mad. And Desher is red, and red associated with hot. Dryness, heat, drought, lack of water. So, or anger, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a good one.
And even if you look on your phone, like if you see the little mad face on your phone, it's a red face.
Yep.
Like if you use like that little emoji,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's the same thing. So we using the same stuff.
We also have a word, just to give a couple more. Set-ib. And set-ib is also affection. And set means a place. It's a word for chair or throne, but also means a place because it's where you stop moving and park yourself, which you sit down. And so it's a place, but it's the place of the heart or place of the mind, which means that you have a place at the mind, which is a word for affection, because you keep the people you love close to you within your heart. That's how we word it today, like they're in my heart. But when they're in your mind, then the person lives. And so in your memory, what's interesting is if you look try to look up the word memory in the ancient Egyptian language. I bet you have a hard time dealing with it. But because it's not just a word you could just toss out there, it's a whole concept because the people who live after life continue to live on in the minds of people, and the mind is this abstraction. And so you live among the deities because the deities are nothing else but in your mind. None of the Netcheru from Osiris or Wasir, Horus or Haru, Isis or Aset, none of those deities are sentient flesh and blood human beings that walk the earth. They exist in that abstract domain called the mind. But like I said, don't want to go all up into all that kind of stuff. Just trying to give a couple more of those examples. So we have Awad Ib, which is joy or happy. I'm trying to think of any others. We have Kir, Keret Ib, which means that which is next to or beside the heart or mind.
I have a question.
Okay.
So would Kemet Ib mean?
what
I can't even get it out for laughing.
Oh, we had Desher Ib, you have Kim Ib.
Yeah.
So if it's mad, then Kim Ib must be happy. But that is funny. But if you think about it, that's not is something that you can play with, because the desert produces it's barren, it's infertile, it's hot, it's uninhabitable, and the wetlands or Kim, the riparian zones are where everybody lived and it was habitable. And when the waters came, everybody was happy, everybody was satisfied. But Heri Ib, for the record, Heri Ib, when we say Hut, Hut is domain or abode. It's a temple. The word Hut or Het. Heri Ib, it means that which is upon the mind or the heart, and it would mean the middle point, as if we're dealing with a temporal spatial a spatial midpoint or temporal midpoint. And so the mind is your central core, so it's the midpoint of your being, and it's from your mind that you make your choices, and it's those choices that you make in your mind that is weighed on the scales, and when you die, or in the scene of death or judgment that people call the judgment scene in the hall of Ma'at or Ma'ati. That scale that you see, that's why the heart is on the scale, because all your life you have made your choices from the core or essence of your being, called the mind or the Ib, represented by a heart. That is what's judged and weighed. When you weigh something, you're judging it. So all of these things connect and tie in. But anyway, so any last things? Anything else y'all want to bring up? Because I think we're at the 10:30.
We need some people to donate to that back to school project.
Oh yeah. Hey, I appreciate you reminding me, man. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Let me see if I can. Let me get the link first. But yeah, somebody else can take the mic. Let me pull the link. Yeah, I don't have anything. I'm trying to pull this link up. Anything else in the group? So listen, I hope people listening. I know we said a lot. I covered, we talked about a few things and whatnot. But I hope, again, our goal is to truly execute ETM Hotep and Shemem Hotep. So I hope you leave here with a to-go box. Hopefully you have some takeaways from what we said. Whether you, even if you disagree, join our Facebook group. Share, your comments, questions, or whatever the case is. Our Facebook group is Sesh Medew Netcher. The links are in the description. Join it. And whether you agree or disagree, you could walk away, with something that you're going to look into or research or whatever. And see, if we were doing presentations, I could probably equip you with some tools to go look and everything. But we're going off the top of our heads, and we just have an open discussion. And I'm trying to address some of the comments or questions and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's not gonna be full blown explanations and things like that. And plus, some of these questions will cause for a whole conversation, a whole show, especially the Fibonacci stuff. All right, but hopefully I gave enough on that other one. So here's the link. Let me post it. I'm gonna post it in the chat. So what it is that I'm involved with me and two other parents. We have teamed up to work together to raise money or to solicit funds for back to school supplies for the children. And so we're trying to get enough money to deal with 50 students. And then, there's other parents that are doing the same thing, So everybody's soliciting funds however they can, because usually some companies will do this and everything, but sometimes it's not enough. And the way it gets distributed, it's not enough. It'll go to some students and not others, and all this other kind of stuff. So we just want to supplement that by trying to raise money based on our social media presence and stuff like that. So I created a GoFundMe to collect funds for back to school supplies, pencils, pens, notebooks, backpacks, whatever. And we're targeting 50 students. And so the average student, as of last year, I believe, the 2018 school year, the average cost for supplies for elementary school student was around $600. And so we just want to raise whatever we can to contribute towards that for 50 students. All right. And so no small donation, no donation is too small or anything. So give whatever you can if you can, contribute what you can. We're going to do this up until the school starts, which is in mid-August for this county jurisdiction. So I'm gonna post a link inside the chat. All right. So no small. Whoop. Yes, I'm gonna post a link in the chat once it allows me to do that. And yeah, so if you have it to give, really appreciate it and stuff. So come August, whatever's collected, hopefully it's enough to even deal with GoFundMe. That's my first time dealing with GoFundMe as well. But whatever, $2, $5, $10, 20, 40, 50, 100, 1,000. If you're balling, hey, it's for a good cause. And even if you have children, then you understand. Some parents, the single parent homes and stuff, some parents, they can't do all of that. So we just want to help out. But that's the link I put inside the chat. So click on that if you have it to give. If you don't have it to give now, bookmark it and give when you can. All right. But yeah, whoever just reminded, was that June or Satet? Whoever reminded me, appreciate that because I forgot to mention that. Right. So. Okay, I see another question. There has been a lot of talk about the importance of water in Egypt. Some say the Great Pyramid has something to do with water or the releasing of a soul or some other explanation. Can you explain it? Man, you all are asking those questions that we see on on the Discovery Channel and stuff. The purpose of the pyramids and everything, the secrets of the pyramids and whatnot. So yes, water was very important in ancient Egypt. That's why everybody lived near the river. So much so that the land of the whole, which was used to farm, and then canals were made and irrigation channels were made because they were very skilled professional farmers and people who grew and knew how to channel water. In fact, if you look at, let me show you this. Oh, okay, y'all can see. Okay, look at that. Let me see if I get a better picture of the book. Here we go. So if you look at, this is a satellite shot of present day Egypt. And if you notice, you have this yellowish tan desert on both sides of this narrow strip of green. That's the Nile River. And then it dumps out into this, it fans out into a triangle shape called a delta. These two areas were completely different biospheres or environments that the Egyptians lived. And this became your upper and lower dichotomy of upper and lower Kemet. So you had Tashamau and Tamehu. But I want you to focus on here. Over here, you have this green offshoot. Now what's interesting though is that if you look at this overhead view, it looks like a lotus flower, either a lotus or a papyrus plant. And then we got this one little leaf on it. But that's beside the point. But this area of water here, but look at this little thin thing that merges the Nile over to it. Okay, that was the Great Canal, the Mer Wer. which means great canal. And that was used at one point or several points in Egypt's history as a regulator of the flooding, and it doubled as a reservoir of water during the dry or off seasons, where the water would go over there and it'd be like a reserve tank of water. That's how important it was. Fresh water. That's how important that is and was. All right. So I'm just pointing that out. But now, in terms of the pyramids and whether the pyramids deal with the soul and everything, I don't have those answers. I don't know the mysteries of the pyramids, so I'm not even gonna sit here and claim that I know the mysteries of the pyramids, because there's not that much text that talk about the purposing of those big pyramids. The smaller ones, we know they're tombs and things like that, and even the bigger ones are referred to as tombs. But in terms of the other functions and things of it and why they're that big and everything, I'm not gonna pretend to sit here and know. When I do know, I'll share it. All right. See, somebody trying to pull that pseudo. No, I'm just playing. The brain can trick the mind or the heart. No, that's another question. The brain can trick. I guess a question: can the brain trick the mind or the heart? No, when we say trick, what is a trick? Because the brain is the organ, the mind is the abstract. And let me say this: I said this before, and I don't think people got it, because when I said it, I said it on a video. I forgot whose show I was on, but I said this, and it probably kind of like went in one ear out the other when I said it. But if you understand energy, what energy really is, it is simply a measurement. It is a property of matter. Energy is a property of matter. Okay? It's a measurement, just like height. Height is a property of matter. You're not going to go out in nature. You're not going to go outside and find height anywhere. Like, you're not going to be able to point to height. So you're not going to be able to point to energy. But now, to the way that we use the word energy, it may sound counterintuitive, but we better straighten that out. Because people talk about energy as if it's an entity, but it's not. It's just simply a measurement or property of matter. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because when you think of dark energy or dark matter, well, let's just take dark matter. The name of that being dark matter makes it sound as though scientists know what it is, but they don't. Dark matter is not matter at all. It's a measurement. So the name is misleading. It's a measurement of the discrepancy between the mass in the universe and then the disposition of that mass in space, or called gravity or whatever, and how much gravity is supposed to be there according to how much mass can be detected. That discrepancy is being called dark matter, but it's just a measurement of a discrepancy. So in other words, it's like this. If you go to the store and you want to buy a kale wrap costs $7, but you have a $10 bill. You pay for it, you get $3 back. That $3 is the discrepancy between what you had and the cost of the kale wrap. So that discrepancy, that difference. So dark matter is the discrepancy. It's the measurement of that discrepancy. Okay? So having said that, what the mind is a slippage of the discrepancy of, and so we call it an abstraction, but the mind is this slippage or the discrepancy between what you're conscious of and unconscious of. Your awareness. And I'm not trying to get all into that and all deep, but I just want to say that because I said it before and it kind of went out. But just think about it. Marinate on that for a bit. So because then you'll know the place of the organ we call the brain versus the abstraction that we call the mind. Because just like dark matter is not really matter, it's a measurement of a discrepancy. The mind is a discrepancy. It's that abstraction that we experience because we go through states of consciousness and unconscious, unconscious, this ebb and flow. And it produces this discrepancy, which creates this experience we call mind. But anyway, that's it. Because I know we are about to go to 11 o'clock. Anybody have any closing remarks? Anything y'all want to say? Somebody.
I know this is Antoine Jermaine. I know I got here kind of late, but before you close out, I got a quick question.
All right.
My question is: am I going to be able to go back and when I go back and watch the show, will I get information about is it Atribus? Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, Atribus.
Atribus. Yeah, so I'm looking to see if that was cleared up in this conversation.
Yeah, we touched on it early. That was like the first thing. Atribus. Right. But just real quick to review, Atribis is the Greek rendition of the Coptic Atribi, and the Coptic Atribi is the Coptic rendition of the Egyptian or the more older Egyptian form Hut-Hiri-Ib, and that is a temple complex in the 10th nome known as Kemet-Weret. And I never made the claim that the word Kemetiyu, which refers to people who are from that nome, Kemet-Weret, and we call it Kemetiyu, that the word Kemetiyu comes from the word Hut-Hiri-Ib. That doesn't make sense. I never claimed that, but you got people who say I claim that just to argue against this fictitious claim, which is real silly. I think we got to do better. I don't know if people have learning disabilities or reading comprehension or listening comprehension disabilities or whatever the case is, but we definitely have to do better because we can't babysit those small little things, especially when people are all puffed up and feel the need to do posts and videos and stuff like that over something that they themselves made up. And I call it. See, these people are debating themselves. They're not debating me. I'm like, that's what I say. Look, go debate yourself, because what they do is they make up arguments that are not made and then argue against those. It's almost like just look in the mirror and debate yourself. You'd be good. But yeah, we talked about that. Last question that I saw, which is fast. Somebody asked me, what does my name mean? Wujao Meneb Iri or Wujao Iri Ma'at mean? See, my whole name is Wujao Meneb Iri Ma'at. And so just to break down what my name means, my first part of my name, Wujao, is the same word that people say when they say Unk Uja Seneb. That second word, Uja, should be pronounced Wuja. But they say Uja, and they don't have that W pronunciation on the front end, but it's really Wuja. But my name is a form of that word. It's a stative form. It expresses a state of being. So Wuja'u is a third person stative, which is saying he who is sound, he who is prosperous, he who is vitalized, or he having been vitalized, or he having been sound, or he having been prosperous. So it implies a state and a process that took place before the state. So that's my first name. Second part, Menib, means a stable mind. I already went over that. And then Iri is a doer. It means to do. And Iri is a practitioner or doer, one who does. And Ma'at is the feminine form of Ma'a, which means truth, and Ma'at means that which is true, or that which is right, or that which is straight. So Wujao Min Ib Iri Ma'at is he who is prosperous, with a stable mind, and practitioner of that which is right, that which is true. All right, and you could translate that. There's a lot of there's a little playing around that I can do, and it all mean the same thing, but I could word it slightly different. All right, so that's
You mean we can't find the meaning in the dictionary of what that means?
yeah. Actually, Eri Ma'at is a name of one of the famous kings, Eri Ma'at. And Iri is also, I say practitioner or doer, but some people may translate it as keeper, like a person who keeps. But now I'm gonna tell you something interesting about names, right? My name is really a reverse formula. So think about it. Wujao means he who is in he who having been sound or prosperous. Menib is a stable mind. Idi Ma'at is a practitioner of that which is right or true. If you read it in reverse, it will indicate my what I should be doing as a theme. See, your name, your ren, your identity, it should be thematic. It should be your life's theme. So you know how they say every hero has theme music? Well, every human being should have a name that reflects the theme of their life. And so if you look at my name in reverse, if I practice that which is true and maintain a stable mind, I will be prosperous. You see how it works in reverse? So being a practitioner of that which is true or right, and having a firm will, which is the word ib, is mind and will, keeping my will intact and exercising my will and keeping it firm and anchored, I will be prosperous. It's in the third person because we have to separate the real us that answers to I versus the person that we tend to identify with. But again, like I said, or somebody else said, there's levels to this, and I'm not going to go into it right now. That starts a whole nother conversation. So by me even explaining my name like that, everybody can bear witness right now that my name is not a fly-by-night name that I just opened a book and just chose it because I want to get on Facebook and got these names that don't make sense, don't have no grammar to them or whatsoever. There's a rhyme or reason for that. Like my name is intentionally my name, and I got my name, acquired my name through ritual. All right, so it's not some little thing people, unk bunk, ra, second, min kau, Shechem and unk ben. Or let me stop. All right, let me stop. All right, so
I was about to say he about to start some stuff.
Yeah, a lot of names popped up, boy.
Yeah,
a lot of names popped up. So, but just think about it. But that's a good question. I always appreciate people asking me what does my name mean, because I tell them. When I actually posted my avatar. That's when I got the most questions about my name. When I posted my avatar, and so I tell people, everybody the same thing. Now, even if you look at now, what's interesting about this is that in my name, if you look at my avatar, my the design of my name. It has it spells out Wujao, but it has the Ja. It has the Wuja in it, even in the glyphs. But now the reason why the serpent there or the snake is there and the Desheret crown is there is because that represent Wajet, which is Waj, which is green, and that's why the color of my name is green. So it has the skin of the gods, which is gold, The color of green, and green represents vitality. The word waj is the color green, and wajet simply means the green one, represented by a serpent, and her home was in Lower Kemet, represented by the Desheret or the red crown. The land, the bee. You have Nisut, and then you have the bee and the BT. All right, so like I said, anyway, I'll leave it there because I it's a whole another conversation. But you notice that if somebody asks me about my name, I can take you around the world with just my name. So it lets you know that it's not some microwave little fluke. All right, but there's other people who may not take these things serious, and they have names that don't even make grammatical sense and stuff. All right, you ask them the meaning of their name, and then it's like, oh man. Should a SAR, so yeah, real quick. So should a SAR be pronounced WSR? Well, this is Nisure Kaim. Just keep in mind that our current pronunciations are all tentative. They're just conventions. So it's really not to say should it be pronounced this or that. But we do have a convention. So with that in mind, I will say that wasir is more true to just pronouncing the consonants in the name. Wasir. Or O, that W becomes O, and that's how the Greeks pronounce it. O-sir. And then they put the us or is, Osiris or Osiris. All right. So yeah. So Asar or Wasir and everything like that. All this stuff is okay. Yep. And what trips me out is that when people say Osiris is a Greek word, it's not. It's just a Greek rendition of an African word, but it's not a Greek word.
That's just how they was able to pronounce it.
Right, because of the phonology in their language.
Right.
Like listen, I'm gonna give you an example right now that happens every day. English speakers trying to pronounce Arabic words, trust me, that's not how those Arabic words sound. When Arabic speakers say those words, like if I ask you to pronounce the word for create, the Arabic word for create, you're going to pronounce it different than an Arabic speaker pronounces it, and that's just what it is. It's khalaka, but most people say kalaka, but it has that khalaka and sanam and alak. That's Arabic, but people will say kalak. So same thing. We don't have that in our phonology. My point is that we don't have that sound in English, so we're going to pronounce it different. And because we pronounce it different, and when we write it, we're going to write it different. Same thing with the Greeks. They don't have certain pronunciations in their language like that, and so they pronounce things different. They wrote things different. Instead of hut kapata, they say Egyptos. Instead of hut heri ib, they say etribis or etribis. Osiris, Horus, Isis, Nephthys. Nephthys is really Nebet Hut. Athir or Ether is really Hathor. And Hathor is really Het Heru. So that's even weird. Sesostris is really Sin Waseret or Sini Waseret. In Egyptian, Sini Waseret, the man of the powerful one. Sini Waseret, man who belongs to the powerful one. But in the Greek, they say Sesostris the third, Sesostris the second, Sesostris the first. That one, you wouldn't even know who you're talking about. Or Amenaphis. You're like, Amenaphis, like what? So anyway, But those are different pronunciations. Let's see what else. Anything else? Nope. Your name seems to be pronounced the same even if you read it backwards. Uh, you know what? That's interesting. But no, but I said this before. It was funny as I said this before. People who mispronounce my name, I said it. I said that people who mispronounce my name must have dyslexia, because people say Waju, and if you read my name backwards, it would be Waju. If you put a W, that first U, Waju, and people say Waju. Now, when people say Wujaru, now I have no idea where they're getting that R from.
What would you say? Say it again.
They say Wujaru. That's crazy.
What
But
about Uja? I hear some people say Uja.
yeah, Uja. I mean, that's close, cause
That's real close. Yeah, that's probably the closest.
yeah, Uja. So now they say Uja or Wuja. When they say Wuja, that's cool. I mean, Wuja, but I'm not hard on that. But now names are important, y'all. Names are important. Don't play around with names. It's okay. They're important to African communities. Names are supposed to represent your identity. You have a localized identity that's temporary, but then you have a thematic identity that's last your lifetime, and that's your bigger name. And take those serious, and you should consult somebody you trust, and something that you're knowledgeable in order to determine your destiny, your birth and your life path called your destiny. All right, and you figure that out, however, in whatever systems you use, but it's from that you develop a name, because your destiny becomes your identity. You identify yourself with your destiny, because as somebody calls your name, your subconscious or the part of you is triggered to reflect and be reminded of that destiny, that goal that you're trying to reach in life. All right, but I'm out of things to talk about. Like I said, all that debating stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's not even worth debating. Most of it's really made up, fabricated arguments that we never make. I don't make. And if people need that to feel important and survive, then more power to them. Wish people like that best wishes. Good luck with that. But anybody got any closing?
Nen,
All right. Nothing else? June. Satep. What's your name mean?
What you say? What's my name mean? Chosen of Ra, beloved of Amen.
There you go. See, chosen of Ra, beloved of Amen. All right. Now notice that you didn't translate Amen, which is normal. That's what a lot of people do. Like we
Right. We'll see. When I came up with the name, I didn't know what Amen meant. I know what chosen of Ra meant, dealing with the Ramesses, and
yeah.
Mary meant love. So, and then I noticed that they all had a deity attached to the end of their name. So I was like, okay, and that's how I came up with it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then June showed me it was a latter pharaoh later who had that in his name.
Okay. Medi
So,
Amen.
yeah.
The beloved of Amen. All right. Emicat, what's your name mean? I put people on the spot, boy.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, what does your name mean?
Oh, okay. My name, Imiket Aku Kinshai, means one who follows the ancestors or the descendant of the ancestors to fulfill destiny. So I follow the ancestors to fulfill destiny. Then Akinyi, that's my Lua name, which is for a female or a girl who's born in the morning between 6 and 7.
Okay, precise. That you down to the time of birth.
Right. We do the seasons, events, and all that stuff. Time.
All right, Emiket Aku Kenshai Akinyi. All right. So yeah, so that's how we do it around here, y'all. All right, so nothing else. And who the name? Oh, we got Sean. What's your name mean?
He who brings back the lost shall lead.
All right, so he who brings back the lost shall lead. So have you brought anybody lost back yet?
Couple people.
All right, all right. So that's good. All right, let's see. Nobody else has a Egyptian name. Yeah, we should start doing. I mean, not we, but not whatever. But I mean, people with these Egyptian names, people should ask, what does it mean? And
Yeah, call them out on it.
yeah. Like not. I mean, because everybody who uses a name should know what it means.
Right. I think some people just pick it because it sounds good. They may not even know what it means. They may just put some names together for Ty. People just be putting deities together and they ain't got it ain't grammatically right.
Ptah Ma'at Ra, Setepin Ra, Mary Amin Ra, Ta, Ya Ya,
There's
Behu
some
Dan.
names out there, man. There's some names out there.
Yeah, you got people who just put deities next to each other. Yep. So, we got people who know Sarah Sutin Seti. Just to speak on that name real quick though, Sarah Sutin and Seti. Sutin is an incorrect way of saying Nisut. So that name is just incorrect. That was an old way that the scholars used to say the word Nisut. They found out later that it's not Sutin, that it's actually a graphic transposition going on, honorific transposition.
Do you think they might have got Sultan from Sultan? I just thought about that. I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, the other way around. They try to say the other way around, that Sultan come from Sutin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they try to say that the other way around, but it's actually Nisut, not Sutin, but Nisut. I'm trying to think of some other names out there, but yeah, man. So people should know the names, but the importance of names it's just not a matter of just picking some good sounding things. It's a name is your identity. The word Ren, we translate it in general as name, but it actually means identity, your ID. What distinguishes you from the next person? It sets up a demarcation. Your name actually sets a boundary around your being as opposed to the next being. And this boundary is envisioned as a loop. And so the word for name, which is Ren, is represented by what's called a Shenu, which is to mean to encircle. So to encircle your being it forms a container, and that container is your ID, and your ID is your name. That's why you swim and you live within your name. That's why a name is not to be joked or played with or tarnished. And your name produces what we call today your reputation. And a person's reputation precedes them. And it opens the doors for when you come through and do what you got to do. So all of these things come into play and should be taken serious. So it's really no joke. And again, like somebody said in the chat, there are levels to this. And these are the kind of things that once we raise an army of scribes to be able to consult the text, to be able to pull information from, verify, confirm, disconfirm, or deny or refute things, whatever left in the wash, that's the kind of conversations we'll have. And so we're creating an institution. It's back to Lisa's question. As far as men and women, we're not gender discriminate around here. Men and women will be able to come into the fold, into institution, and we'll be able to walk this ladder or climb this pyramid in degrees in order to have these kind of conversations and understanding and be able to execute and live or apply certain things that are applicable. Not everything is applicable today, but these are the kind of things that people would like to talk about, but they talk about it prematurely because they don't really know, and they get caught up and vulnerable. They get sucked into the pseudo conversations about the Akasha records, aliens, and all this other kind of talk. So we got to be careful. Nobody's taking it the time to walk the pyramid up. They want to start at the peak and not at the bottom. And so this is our journey. The Seshu Ma'ani Medew Netcher, even that name we selected was intentional. Seshu, scribes, Ma'a is the word true, or real, the word real. So true scribes, and then Ni Medew Netcher, of Medew Netcher, or Sesh Medew Netcher. Seshu Ma'ani Medew Netcher. And so we are the true scribes, or because we say it in twofold. The aspiring, scribes of divine words. So it's a journey. So real scribes, true scribes. Yep, we still live. So June's gonna close us out. I think June stopped traveling. We haven't heard from June tonight, so June's gonna close us out. Oh man, is that mine? Are y'all hearing him correctly? Oh, it's me, y'all. But it's only when June started talking, so I'm gonna blame him. I'm gonna blame it on June. So y'all can still hear me on YouTube. I had to leave and come back into our panel real quick. So let me get back in there. Then we're gonna close out. Cause we've been on for a long time, so I might as well just give it up for having these short sessions. But I hope again, one of the main points for us is to make sure that we share information, make sure people can learn, take away, make sure we clear up some stuff. If people are out there yapping, talking, trying to deal with the drama stuff and immature stuff, we try to keep everything afloat. We try to keep the bar raised and all of that good stuff. So you're not going to get all that other stuff. So if you want to be entertained, we try to do a little bit of entertaining, but if you want to be entertained full-fledged, I don't know, this may not be for you. We kind of take things a little serious over here. So yeah, June, you were saying something?
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks for everybody that tuned in. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe. That helps the channel. We appreciate the support, and we just need to support each other. If you haven't gotten the book yet, please check it out, and just support each other. That's where it all starts. Supporting each other. But yeah, I don't got too much to say. I just been listening in, enjoying it. I always learn something, so I appreciate that.
All right.
So. Yeah, I don't have too much to say.
I see. We have Sonnet Kayla in the chat. I didn't see Juju. I think Juju was there earlier.
Two.
Okay, so Sonnet Kayla and Juju, and Lisa. Lisa, I'm gonna call y'all out. Lisa, Monica, Kayla, Juju, need you on board with the Seshu. All right, that rhyme. All right. So yeah, we're gonna make sure everything's straight. All right. And anybody else? And also, right now we are at what's this? July 19th, 18th, 19th. Come August, I will be starting a new beginners group. Okay, so keep your eyes out. I'm gonna start advertising this weekend. So I'm gonna form a new beginners group. For those of you who want to learn Sesh Netcher and the beginner's level of Ronnie Kim and Sesh Netcher, the writing system and the language. I will be starting a new group. The cost of the course is 12 weeks. And then also, see, what I'm going to do this time around, like I did before, is that I'm going to start a new group. But for those who may have not finished the course through the different times that we met or for whatever reasons, and people did not get a chance to go through the whole course previously, they'll be able to join in with this one. So I want to see everybody get involved. Everybody who's taken a course and was unable to finish or because of time constraints or the timing of our sessions and things of that nature, whatever the reason is, those individuals will be able to join this group as well. But I want to form a new group and start a fresh group in August. All right. So towards the beginning of August. And we're going to get that going and make sure everybody is hooked up with a beginner's level of the information and becoming competent and proficient at that level. And then you can move on to the next level with morphology, syntax, which is the grammar of the language. And then we can work our way up. We can start talking about those things. We can start talking about things that people want to talk about. We can start astral projecting and stuff. Nah, I'm being sarcastic with that. But yeah.
Yeah, and since I noticed we have also other members, not members, we have also other people in the chat that are new. Could you tell them, for those who are interested in joining the class and also becoming members of the CSU, male or women, what are the requirements? Because I see we also have some new people in the chat.
Yeah, well, we're kind of organizing the CSU or reorganizing the CSU as a group. But the requirements is that you have to be competent and proficient at a beginner's level of the language. That is the quickest and straightforward requirement, which means whether you take a class with me or with somebody else, you have to show proficiency at least at a beginner's level. So if you take the course with me, then I will know whatever that level is because we have a final exam and an essay when you complete the course that you have to take to receive a certificate. But if you've taken a course with another teacher, we have Dr. Rikete Amen, we have Benachi Montgomery out there. We have who else? In terms of online. Now, I know other people teach in person, too. We have Sanjetti has a class going on in Delaware or Philly that I know of, and maybe a few others that are out there. So if you've taken courses or classes with them, or if you're autodidact, if you taught yourself, then that's fine. But in order for me or for us to gauge your competency, you will have to take an exam at the very least, or take the course. All right. But anyway, that's the requirement.
No,
right.
You forgot another teacher.
Oh, who's that?
Saber Reggie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It doesn't matter who. I don't know if you're being funny, but yeah, whoever. Like I said, if you're self-taught or you are under the wings of another teacher or have taken classes with another teacher, that's fine. That's fine. We don't discriminate. But in order to know where you are in your studies, you still have to take the exam. And we have 100 question exam and an essay. You got to be able to translate a text that I give you, or you select from a selection, and you have to pass 100 questions. Okay, so it's your choice. So you could take the course and you'll be able to pass, or if you taught somewhere else and you want to come within the fold of the CSU and the scribal institution that you see on the screen, then that's what it takes. We don't care about gender, male or female. We're looking for more women to balance things out. All right. So I'm calling you out: Juju, Kayla, Monica, Lisa. Who else? that have been shown. Oh, and we have man, and right now I have a grammar course. Matter of fact, I have a grammar class to teach tomorrow. We have our sessions every Saturday, which is a really good class. You know, the brother son David is in there. Son Christopher Withers, who's probably in the chat. Sonette Vanessa, so she's on a level of the grammar as well. And I'm in, you know, outside of some of the members of the Seshu who are in there as well. But you know, so I'm looking forward to completing all that stuff and bringing everybody aboard. Yep. All right, so I'm done. So anybody else? Nothing? I can't even look at the chat because if I look at the chat and somebody say something, then I'm gonna respond and we'll be in the whole another half an hour. So I'm gonna say Shimon Hotep, and I appreciate on behalf of the Seshu, we appreciate you taking the time out on a Friday night to hang out with us. We just hope that you walk away with a to-go box of goodies and takeaways that you can either you've learned from or that you could study and then give us your feedback. All right. And we welcome criticism. We welcome corrections because we're not always right. We're not infallible. We're not perfect. You know, and all that good stuff. And so any mistakes that we've made, you want to point out, we welcome those as well. All right. So with that, I will say Shemem Hotep.
Take care.